I'm Lee and this is my podcast about my handmade life. You can find me on Instagram as Louleigh_ and on Ravelry as Louleigh. I have an Etsy shop, Shop Louleigh, where I sell needle cases and notions cases and my notions case kit and pattern, if that's interesting to you. But you can find links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. And while we're on, just quickly, while we're talking about my Etsy shop, I have been working on some new cases to put in the shop using this really cute bird fabric. I've got them all here stacked up. So yeah, so this is going to be a limited edition. I'm only getting this fabric in once, and there will be just a few needle cases and DPN cases and notions cases and some kits as well. Yeah, so if these sweet little birds are your jam, then the best way to find out when they're going into the shop is to actually subscribe to my newsletter and you'll get the shop update preview. So yeah, that's just a little bit of shop news before I start. This is community news, and over in the Louleigh Ravelry group we have a couple of things going on. The first is the Advent mini skein swap, which will come to a close at the end of this month. So yeah, if you want to swap some mini skeins with us, whether it's for an advent calendar or not is completely up to you, then pop on over and join in that thread. And on the 1st of October I'll pair everybody up with a swap partner and we swap 6 mini skeins each. The other thing that we've been doing over in the Ravelry group is Knit 1000 Grams has started off for this year. And I think I've pretty much realised that I have a kilo's worth of works in progress that I can finish for Knit 1000 Grams, and people have been putting placeholders into the sort of the reporting thread. I forget what I called it. Finishing glory thread. People have been putting placeholders with a list of the things that they'd like to complete for Knit 1000 Grams. So it's really fun to see the projects that people are looking to have done by the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. A lot of people aren't coming to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, but of course the sneaky prize, I draw for a prize on the way up for Edinburgh, and then I have a little shop for the person who has won while I'm there. So you get something special from the Edinburgh Yarn Festival whether you're coming or not. And that's always really fun because I have a little poke through people's project pages and stashes to kind of get an idea of what they might like or what they might be interested in. If you're going to be at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and you'd like to contribute something to that prize, then please do. That would be fun as well. Yeah, so that's Knit 1000 Grams. So the last time I spoke to you, I was telling you about my unravelling party that my friend Annie and I were going to have on Friday night, and she brought round a sort of like a sleeveless jumper that she had been knitting and wasn't entirely in love with. She had started seaming it and adding on button bands and stuff like that. So we managed to get started on unravelling that one. But we also unravelled my After Dark cardigan. And that was pretty easy because it was top down all in one piece. So this is the yarn. And I have washed it. It's almost dry, it's just airing out at the moment, and I'm really pleased. The yarn looks really good, it doesn't look worn. So I haven't weighed this to see how much I have, but I do have 3 balls of it still left. This is Utaku Merino Possum yarn that I got when I was on a trip back to New Zealand. Yeah, and as soon as I got it unravelled, I kind of thought, well, actually I'd like that cardigan in a size that actually fits me a bit better. So I'm not planning to cast that on imminently, and I'm not sure if that's actually the plan, but I'm just really pleased to have the yarn back in a knittable format. And I've actually been wondering how to use this. If you've unravelled yarn that you've then used with the fresh pristine stuff, do you alternate skeins or do you just hope for the best? I suppose I can test it out when I do a swatch, but I'd be really interested to hear what people do if they're using used yarn with new yarn that's meant to look the same, you know. Yeah, let me know what you do. This is the sock segment, and I suppose I have two bits of sock related news this week. Firstly, I have finished repairing the Hairy Man's Holy sock. Basically I picked up the stitches along the gusset here. The hole was about here. So I picked up the stitches along the gusset and then cut that open, re-knitted this section here and then grafted it along here. And I noticed as I was grafting that section as well that the yarn was a little thin around this area. So I have Swiss darned over top of that too. So that sock is ready to go back into service. The other thing is, I thought that if that sock had a hole in it, I really ought to have a good look at the other sock. And it was wearing rather thin. So I have just Swiss darned along the bottom there. I'm rather pleased with this, so I'm going to show it to you in close up. Oh. Yeah, so I just Swiss darned that entire section. And I quite enjoy Swiss darning now, it's quite fun. So, as I say, those are ready to go back into service. With this yarn, I'm not sure if it's going to be particularly long lasting. I forget whether this had nylon in it or not. It definitely has bamboo, and it's a superwash merino. I think it must have had nylon in. But anyway, it'll be, as I say, it'll be interesting to see sort of what wears through next. I would be interested to know if you want to see my sock mending effort on the podcast, because I'm still struggling not to see mending as a very utilitarian sort of a activity. But yeah, if you're interested in seeing my mended socks as well as my pristine new ones, then pop over to the Ravelry thread and let me know in the comments. I seem to have accumulated a pile of socks that need mending, so the next ones that I have are my last year's Advent socks. And there is a section just here that has completely felted, so I have great difficulty getting my feet into those socks now. And I've started, because it's felted, I can just cut it. So yeah, that's the next pair that I want to get back into service. And I think that will be less of, because of the stripy nature of these socks, that will be less of a visible mend and more of just a mend. But yeah, I popped another pair of socks on yesterday morning and discovered that they had a hole in as well. So I now have a bag specifically for the mending of socks. And I'm not sure if that's good podcast content or not, so let me know. I have actually been knitting an actual sock too. I've been making a little bit of progress on my ultralight sock. So this is my pattern that I am knitting in Titus, yeah, Eden Cottage Titus lace. I was about to say lake, no, Eden Cottage Titus lace. And yeah, so I've done the heel and the gusset, and I am just whipping along the foot now. So yeah, those will be good to be putting into my sock drawer for the warmer weather next year as a kind of a trainer sock. I have been working on Sizzle Pop this week, but I don't know, that's starting to get a little bit like watching paint dry. So I felt like I needed a break from that, a bit of a hiatus, so I have decided to cast on something new. This is from Stash, so it still counts for Knit 1000 grams. And I am casting on the Jones cardigan by Tin Can Knits. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that very well there. And I'm going to knit this as a Christmas present for a fellow who will be 6 months. So I think I'm knitting the 1 to 2 years size. Partly because I have enough yarn to make that size. I'm sort of running on the philosophy with kids that if you just pick the size that uses up as much yarn as possible, at some point they'll fit it. He would have to stop growing when he was quite small not to fit it. So I have cast that on. I have it here. In this yarn, which I bought some time ago. It's really beautiful. I bought it specifically because it seemed like a parent friendly yarn. It's DK weight and it is merino and nylon and it's superwash. So yeah, really easy for non-wool familiar parents to look after. And it's the prettiest colour ever. It's a rusty tone, but it has little bits of green and some really rich reds in it. So it's a beautiful autumnal colour. And that is, there we go, yarn. That is Hazelnut's Lively DK in the Heirloom colourway. Yeah, so I am not yet up to any of the fun part because I got through the ribbing and I think I might have overshot what I needed to do for the ribbing. And I'm at the point where I actually need to fossick about my house and find a 4mm needle somewhere, and then I'll be able to carry on with that. I'm really looking forward to doing the cables actually, because it's been a long time since I've done any cabling. So yeah, I'm hoping that will be a little bit of a palette cleanser from Sizzle Pop. I mean, I still do enjoy sitting down and doing it, but it just goes on and on and on. I keep showing it to you guys and it barely looks any different, so yeah, that should be good fun. And of course the last thing I have to talk to you about is the sewing segment. And last weekend I put together, in a very rushed sort of quick way, the Alexandria pants that I told you about last time. So I've just made a toile. So this is an old duvet cover that I have been cutting up for several of my sewing projects. And for the smaller sections like the pockets, I have just used pieces of old toile. So if it was big enough to cut the piece out of it, that's what I did. I did do a really quick and dirty job of sewing it together, and so I've realised I've made a mistake with the pleats. When I was cutting out, I didn't transfer over correctly all of the data about markings. I usually just draw it on with a pen, as you can see. There's hips and fronts and whatnot marked there. The orange pen is for this garment and the purple pen is for the previous one that pocket came from, which might be confusing, but hey ho. Yeah, so I didn't correctly transfer over the pleat markings to put these pleats in the front here, which is why the waistband doesn't meet correctly in the front. So I actually want to go back and fit that and correct that so I can get a much better idea of fit. Apart from that, I think the size is okay. I do want to make one adjustment, which I'll talk to you about actually after I make it, because then I can take some film or a picture of before and after so you can see what I've been trying to fix. But yeah, The duvet that I've been using is actually a brushed cotton, and so these are rather nice to wear. I wouldn't say they're huge, but they're a loose trouser, so yeah. I had thought that once I've made my alterations and I've got the toile right, that I might make a pair of pyjama pants, and just something that I can wear to check the fit and see how it goes as I wear them. But I'm thinking that I do actually want to try and make a pair that I can wear outside of the house. Yeah, firstly because I want to see how that sort of this silhouette is kind of new to my wardrobe, and I want to see if it's something that I'm comfortable with, that goes with my other clothes, and that I feel a shape that I feel good about wearing. And I also want to see how this trouser fits in with my daily life, you know, when I'm walking the dogs or doing yoga or in the garden or just working in the factory here. And so I thought it's probably a better idea for me to actually make up a wearable pair, yeah, just to see if they work well in my wardrobe as a comfortable pair of trousers. I had thought that actually for the style they would probably work really well in my summer wardrobe, but then I won't get to try them out here because it's try them out now because it's starting to feel decidedly wintry, so I'm not quite sure what to do about that yet. But anyway, there's still a little way to go. I need to correct the mistake that I made on my toile and make the adjustment that I want to make. I actually think that this is one of the things I like. The reasons I like to make a toile is because I make my mistakes on it. If I've read the pattern the day before or the week before or something and I think I know what I'm doing, and then I discover that I don't know what I'm doing, I haven't made a mistake that I then need to work out and correct. I could just, if I had cut something incorrectly, I could just recut it in the same or different or whatever scrap that I had and redo it, or I could just bolt it together with a bit of stitching or something. Which is not what you want to do when you've actually paid some money for fabric. I also like that if you make a toile and when you come to fit it, you really can slice it and dice it. So when I made my first farrow dress, I actually cut it right across the bust and put in 2 inches of fabric at that point. And if I had been trying to make it, you know, out of the actual fabric, I couldn't have done that. So yeah, that's just a couple of the reasons that I like to have a dummy run, even with really simple patterns that should be easy to adjust. It's just nice it elevates my finished garment. Yeah, I don't have to fudge anything. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to to sort of finishing off with the toile and then thinking about what fabric I would like to make a pair of these in. They are really comfy, and it would be tempting to have a pair of brushed cotton trousers, but then I might feel like I'm wearing my pyjamas outside of the house all the time. So yeah, that's just something to think about. I've got a little bit of work to do before I actually come to having to make a decision about that. It's all from me for this week. I think my focus for the coming week, well, I wrote my list of things that I wanted to focus on this week and then realised that I am casting on my birthday socks. So I think thing one will be my birthday socks. I'll try and find the needles for Jones and carry on working on that and work on the Alexandria trousers as well. It's been really nice to sit down and have a chat to you on a rainy Friday afternoon. I hope you're looking forward to a really nice weekend and that you'll come and join us in the Ravelry group, and give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed yourself. Cheerio!